a non-NAPRO doctor or somebody who hasn't been trained in all of this, they might just say, you know what, just go on the pill, it'll regulate the hormones and be good to go. You know, when in reality we find that a lot of these women don't have a hormone imbalance. It may just be, like I said, this endorphin imbalance or some other levels that way. So that's just in general, you know, kind of a brief overview on that one. So that is actually all that I have, and I would be more than happy to take any questions if anybody has anything. Yes?
Can you explain bioidentical hormones?
Yep, absolutely. So there are different types of chemical structure that's made up of hormones. So when we talk about bioidentical hormones, they are hormones that are identical to the hormones that are created in our own bodies. So it is not necessarily, it's not like we're extracting the hormones from one person and giving them to another person, but they are still engineered to be the exact same makeup, as opposed to what they call isomolecular hormones. So for example, progesterone is a great example. So progesterone, there are lots and lots of commercially available brands of progesterone. Many of them are synthesized from, they take pregnant horses and they take their urine and then they break that down because there's progesterone in it, and then they use that progesterone and put it back into the medications that we get prescribed, the progesterone. And so that's the big difference is that rather than being from a horse, it's progesterone that is similarly identical to what we get as humans. And so that's the hormone that we get. So most of the times that will come in the form, it can still be made into a capsule. Vaginal suppositories, injectable, I mean there's all sorts of different types, but there is a very distinct difference. You know, and there's been a lot of research into showing the bioidentical is the way to go, because why would you want to ingest something that's pregnant horse's urine breakdown? I don't know, especially if you have an option, you know. So, did I answer your question? Other questions? Yes.
Probably too complex, but there's somebody in our extended family right now who's dealing with the eggs being too old, aged by having been on contraceptives for years. In terms of the charting, is there a way that would be noticeable as a diagnosis?
Yes. So especially we see this, you know, when women are getting closer to the age of menopause. A lot of times the cycles will stretch out in length, and a lot of times the time period between when they ovulate and when they have a period will shorten. We see that a lot with progesterone deficiency. Okay, a lot of it is because you need to, in order to ovulate, you need to be able to have those peaks of hormones, and if that's not happening, then ovulation keeps getting pushed back and delayed. So yeah, generally we see it not only as a longer cycle initially before ovulation, but then oftentimes a shorter, what we call post-peak phase, when the progesterone levels don't have that spike. Interestingly enough, there's also great variability between cycles. They're doing a lot of research right now into looking backwards at women who have developed breast cancer, and women that have been charting, especially using Creighton model, and that know exactly when they've had their peak day, and they're kind of backtracking and saying, oh, you know what? Even before the breast cancer was detected, the hormonal imbalances started going really crazy. You know, and women may not have noticed it because my periods were still coming every 30 days, but when I ovulated was very different from month to month. And so that's a really cool, exciting new area of research that's going on over at Hope Hall in Omaha. Other questions? Yes?
What number of young girls who are normally on the pill will come to you to get that treatment? Who aren't married? You know, is that a struggle with parents? And how do you talk to parents about that?
It can be a challenge. I will say that probably I'm blessed in that the majority of the people that come to me, oftentimes they don't want to be on the pill, but their daughter has such terrible, painful periods that they're missing school. And you know, whoever their last doctor they saw was, they just said, okay, this is all I've got, so here you go. I would say the majority of them that come to see me want to be off of it and are willing to work to find other ways to do it. But you know, there definitely are always some that are just like, nope, you know what, I'm not even having sex, so it's not a moral, ethical concern, you know. But as Vicki pointed out, it is, you know, it's so much more than that. So I would say for the most part, like I said, people that come to me want to be off of it. So the big majority of the two biggest populations that I see would be infertility patients and, exactly as you described, young women who aren't needing contraceptives for birth control necessarily, but just want to be off of it because they were put on it because of acne or migraines or PMS symptoms. So, does that answer your question? Anything else? Okay, I apologize in advance. I'm the one with the 4-month-old in the back, so she screams and cries. I'm very sorry. She's just kind of been sick today, so we're rolling with it. So my apologies in advance to everybody. So thank you so much for being an attention audience.